Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. Despite the objections of residents, Warsaw councillors have decided to create a clean transportation zone that will cover the city center and adjacent streets, including the city's neighborhoods such as Wola Ochota, part of Praga Północ, as well as Saska Kępa, Kamionek, and part of Grochów. Starting in 2024, the restrictions will affect only those entering Warsaw from outside the capital. Residents of Warsaw will not face these changes until 2028. Residents of Warsaw have decided to express their negative opinion on the introduction of the clean transportation zone in Warsaw. Yesterday's city council session was disrupted by crowds of protesters. The city of Warsaw gave their residents a voice, but did not listen to them. The resolution was passed with the votes of 37 councillors. 16 local government officials voted against the changes, and 2 people abstained. There is no consent to such actions against the residents of our city. We are submitting a motion to the governor, a motion to cancel the resolution due to the lack of public consultation. I, for one, can announce that if I am still governor, I will study this piece of legislation very thoroughly, because I think it is controversial and also raises many legal questions. Mazovia Governor Tobiasz Bocheński calls on Warsaw authorities to hold a local referendum on the issue. If Mayor Trzaskowski tells us that the majority of Warsaw residents are in favor of this solution, why not call a referendum so that they themselves can have their say on the issue? Although the establishment of a clean transportation zone was requested by Warsaw's mayor Rafał Trzaskowski himself, he was absent from the session. The resolution on the clean transportation zone passed. Thank you to Warsaw councillors for passing this important project. This is a step towards cleaner air in the capital, a healthier city, and finally an important decision in the context of the fight for EU funds from the National Reconstruction Plan. By the end of 2027, the clean transportation zone will not apply to residents of the zone and all tax-paying and registered residents of the capital. The Warsaw City Council has done its best to ensure that those in need of support who may indeed have problems replacing their cars are helped out and that they can still use cars that do not meet these standards. The rules of the clean transportation zone will apply to everyone from January 2028. At that time, it will not be possible to drive a diesel vehicle older than 13 years in the zone, as well as a vehicle with an internal combustion engine manufactured before 2006. We proposed a whole package related to families with many children, but also families that have school-age children. We also proposed amendments related to special cases when people in the family have some degree of disability, and such people could also enter the zone. People over the age of 70, upon meeting certain conditions, will be exempted indefinitely from the clean transportation zone rules. In snow-covered fields in western Poland, Ukrainian soldiers are undergoing trench warfare training. They will join the front in a few days. The training, conducted by soldiers from Poland, France, and Belgium, is taking place in Węgrzyn, some 40 kilometers from the German border. Well, most of them started the exercises with zero experience. Now these men are able to apply tactics, perform specific tasks, communicate effectively, and transmit information via radio. As a result, they are already better prepared. This is one of the most important skills, as most battles are fought in the trenches. Therefore, practicing these activities will help our military personnel improve their skills and achieve victory on the battlefield.
Main task of Combined Armed Training Command is to create the most realistic conditions for the training for Ukrainian armed forces.
So every time when we trained Ukrainian colleagues, they go to the battlefield, and the next request for training, they will incorporate the things they would like to be adapted. So sometimes they ask for something more, sometimes they ask for something less. So it's not just starting to adapt now, we started to adapt as of the first day. And so this is what you see now is an evaluation and an evaluation of the situation after almost 1 year. And so this is the result. And we will keep adapting because the situation on the battlefield is changing every day.
Basically, winter is generally the most difficult period for military operations because it is difficult to maneuver. Enemy technology can basically detect us, our troops, and our equipment using thermal imaging cameras, mainly drones. Therefore, winter will pose the biggest challenge. This morning, Russian missiles hit apartment blocks in Kharkiv. Fortunately, this time there were no casualties. 2 people were injured. According to the State Emergency Service of Ukraine, at least 7 apartment buildings and more than 20 cars were damaged. I woke up as if after a terrible dream. I didn't understand or hear anything. My husband asked me, "Why are you screaming?" But I didn't understand anything. I only saw that all the windows were broken. Something terrifying happened. The officials gave us 2 sleeping bags and such a curtain for the windows so that we could sleep in warmth because all the windows are broken. There wasn't just one explosion. The explosion was there, and there. There were explosions all over the house. Huge explosions. I worked 49 years as a teacher. I survived the bombing in North Solivka, and now I live in this apartment. I don't know where to live. I am homeless. The car is destroyed. My husband died 3 months ago. I have nothing. The protest of Polish truck drivers against unfair competition continues. At the Korczowa-Krakowiec border crossing, Polish protesters are letting only 7 trucks through per hour. Because of this, about 400 trucks are now parked in each of the 2 nearby parking lots, and a 20-kilometer-long lane of trucks has been created on State Road 94. We have been stranded here. Nobody cares about us. They left us to our fate. Trucks that are fully loaded have to wait here for 13, 14 days. Almost all the factories in Ukraine have been shut down. We transport diesel, gasoline, and natural gas. The border blockade has caused price hikes. This is very bad. We are standing here in winter. It's like we are back in the Stone Age. This is not human progress, it's regression. Look how many people are stranded here.
Dlaczego zaczęli protestować transportowcy?
Why did the truckers start protesting? It's because when Polish trucks on the Ukrainian side want to go back to Poland, they have to wait in lines. This is a privilege to Ukrainian transporters. They wait to enter the checkpoints, some even at home. And 2 or 3 hours later, when the system says they are allowed to enter, they can leave. But Polish drivers have to wait for 12, 13, even 14 days every time and live in the trucks. This is how Polish truckers are being treated in Ukraine. Before the conflict, Ukraine had 140,000 permits, but now 1 million trucks are entering Poland. This is almost 10 times the previous amount, and they are taking away our market. Ukrainian drivers can stay in the EU for 50 days. They transport goods from Poland to other countries. This is actually illegal. We want Poland and Europe to notice that as a member of the European Union, Poland is like a secondary country compared to Ukraine. There are also Polish drivers and trucks stranded in Ukraine. A border crossing has been opened for Polish drivers. Some empty trucks returned yesterday. Unfortunately, we demanded that there be a return only for European trucks, but Ukrainian trucks are also included in the queue. Russian and Belarusian athletes who qualify for the 2024 Paris Olympics in their discipline will be allowed to participate in next year's event as neutral athletes, without flags, emblems, or anthems, the International Olympic Committee announced earlier today.
First of all, what is maybe most important is has changed that participation of athletes with Russian and Belarusian passports in competitions and in international competitions works. We see this almost every day in a number of sports. We see it most prominently in tennis, but we see it also in cycling. We see it in some table tennis competitions. We see it in ice hockey, we see it in handball, we see it in football, and in other leagues there in United States but also in Europe, and we also see it in other continents.
The athletes were initially banned from participating in international competitions after last year's Russian invasion of Ukraine, but have since gradually regained eligibility to play in most sports as neutral athletes. They will only compete in individual sports, and no teams from either country will be allowed to participate in the Paris Olympics. A condition of participation will also be confirmation that the athlete does not actively support Russian aggression against Ukraine. For now, it is not clear how this will be verified. More than 60 Ukrainian athletes have already qualified for the Olympics. A total of about 11,000 athletes will participate in next year's Olympic Games. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, it's have a wonderful weekend.